researchers, dentists, professional human beings, those who went to university, and those of us that celebrated and lived through the school of hard knocks. Bushka and Blitz here, back to have a chat to you today about the latest offering. As you can see me spending my hard-earned cash there, the Object 140, the latest and greatest at the top of the Russian medium tree. Sharing the limelight up there with the T62A. I swore that I wouldn't do more Russian tanks, but they've got to stop putting them in the bloody game before I can stop doing them. We do have some stuff coming up. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping first. We've got a new T62A review coming up, the T62A Revisited, a T110E3 Revisited review, just getting rid of a couple of the old reviews and replacing them or adding to the rich tapestry of the channel with a couple of new reviews on those tanks. They're a little bit light on originally, and I've actually flipped on the T62A and gone all hard ass on it. Lots of stuff happening. There'll be a podcast coming up in the next wee while with Left Turn, one of the guys from the big clans, one of the big clans, I believe it's Triara. I'm sorry, I've got that wrong, guys. But anyway, I'll talk more about that on channel soon. They're going to be good enough to have me on and have a chat to me because, I don't know, they must not have much to do with their time if they're plumbing the depths with this silly bloody Aussie. But I digress. Onwards and upwards. The Object 140 gets a bad rap. I don't know why people are down on it. From what I've been reading on the forums, it's getting a bit of negativity, so I've pushed through a review just for you to tell you the other side of the coin. I actually quite like the tank. I find it to be a more forgiving tank than the T62A. It's certainly not a super easy tank to drive. It's not too noob friendly, but if you've been driving mediums for a while, you can make a go of this. It has things in its favour, it has things against it. And it's going to be compared most often to the T62A because, to be honest, they're exceptionally similar tanks aesthetically, and they share the same gun, as well as quite a few common traits. However, a few things about this tank. Its camo is exceptional. It's even better than the T62A's. Its DPM is slightly lower than the 62A's, but not to the point that you're joking and saying it can't kill anything. Quite on top of the DPM as well. Its penetration values, same, or more or less the same across the board on most of this stuff. The big difference is, for me, there's two things. The upper plate on this tank is more of an effective stopper and bouncer than the T62 upper plate. Even though it's 2mm thinner, it's much better sloped. We'll talk more about that in the armour profile. I find it to be a more generous and forgiving on-the-move weapons platform. I find it better for brawling because of that upper plate, whereas Tier 8 and 9 tanks in Tier 10 games would often pen me on the T62A when I was brawling with them. I find that the Object 140 is more likely to bounce those tanks as well. The crap about it having a weak turret is just that. It's got a weaker turret, but that doesn't mean it's got a weak turret. Go and ask the FV4202 how it feels about the Object 140's turret. The FV4202 can be penned by firing at the bloody gun. It has no gun mantlet. The E50M has a weak face on its mantlet as well. It's got the same turret as the E50. The Patton has a horrific turret. You can be penned everywhere but the gun mantlet frontally. I mean, these are things that actually exist in game, and people carrying on like the top eggshell bit of this turret being weak as a bad thing need to really have a look at the rest of the Tier 10 mediums and have a good hard think about whether that statement is ringing true or not. It might be weaker than the T62A's turret, but that does not mean it's a weak turret. It's a very strong turret, in fact. Anyway, I digress. There's a lot of stuff coming up. I want to chat to you guys about a lot of things with this tank. We're going to have a look at the armor profile first and foremost. We're then going to have a look at the gameplay, and I'm going to take you through the paces with this as I see it from my perspective. I had a horrific start in this tank. Really, really bad. I was ready to write it off after the first 15 or 20 games, but I stuck with it and started playing a little less stupidly like a blood-rushing noob, and things, would you believe, came good. So yeah, the T62A. Let's go and have a look at the armor profile. The Object 140. Let's go and have a look at the armor profile now. This is the Object 140 team. Now, I want to get one thing out of the way straight away. Yes, it has a weaker turret than the T62A. It does not have a weak turret, though. Its turret is bloody strong. Look at that red band there. And then there's a yellow band. And then up the top, there's a little bit of yellow on the old hatches. And then green up the top again. It's got a weak crown. But if we look at the penetration model, you can see there. That's an awful lot of red to have on a medium tank's turret. And I found in actual gameplay that I wasn't getting penned on the turret a lot. Where I was getting penned was the front glacis. But even then, I found this tank to have a much better brawl style than the T62A because it was easier to actually bounce things off this front plate. It is 2mm thinner in pure terms of armour. However, its slope is much greater, and as such, its effective armour is a lot better. It's when you're brawling, especially tier 8, 9 and 10 tanks that end up in tier 10, 8 and 9 tanks that end up in tier 10 games, you will actually be able to bounce an awful lot more shots than I do in my T62A, and this is just from practical experience. I've driven a lot of T62A of late, trying to figure out how to drive that bloody tank because I want to do another review on it, and I've driven the object a fair bit since it came out. I think we've got 50 games in it already. And it brawls better than a T62A for me. Just me. Don't go shouting heresy. I don't care that you disagree with me. This is my review. Go get your own channel. But without being an asshole, I think it's a great tank. I really enjoy it. It's a tough tank to drive, but the T62A I think is tougher. And this brings me up just a quick sidetrack. People that drive tanks like the T62A amazingly well, who have 70% win rates, it doesn't matter if it's a crap tank or a good tank. They're better than you and me, and they're going to drive it really well regardless. I'm not saying their opinions are irrelevant. It's just, don't listen to someone who's got a 75% win rate who tells you that the T62A is better than the Object 140, because it probably is for them. But you're not them. You're me and you and the guys that hover between 50 and 60% and don't dominate every single game out, have to be a little bit smarter and use the tools at their disposal. And I find this tank to be more forgiving than the T62A. It's got an extra degree of gun depression, and my God, that makes a huge difference. There's spots like the hill on mines where you can sometimes get shots off down into the enemy's respawn and such because you have that extra 1 degree of gun depression. Really important stuff, and I feel passionate about that. Some tanks are just too quick for me. The Leopard 1 is hilariously fun, and I love driving it, and I do okay in it. But I watch some of the guys that I play with who drive a Leopard 1, and they're like water dancers, driving around this thing like a million miles an hour, snapshotting everything. They're really good. I'm not that good, but I still enjoy the tank. Likewise, I'm not that good, but I enjoy the T62A. And I'm not that good, but I really like the Object 140. You know, it's quickly warmed up for me. I'm a big fan of it. So that's the armor. Let's go and have a quick chat over some gameplay about what this tank can do. What it can do is it can drive very well in brawls against big heavies. Very nippy. You can see here against an E75 just how quickly we're cornering and maintaining speed, how easily we're firing on the move, how easily we're getting to our spots, picking the top there instead of going low. We've gone up to the turret. Just turning the sound down now. Sorry about that. I think the missus got home. And you can see we're getting around. He finally gets a shot into us, but all in all, a very satisfactory performance as a brawling tank. I find that against lower tier mediums, it's particularly good in terms of brawling. You can see here, we've got the E50. Now, nothing special. Just showing you the reverse speed here, going up the hill. We've got no worries whatsoever about staying up with the E50, keeping it in front of us. Firing, it's a very, very stable platform. Even going over a hill, you can see a little bit of gun depression there, goes a long, long way. I can't tell you how much happier I am with this tank in terms of gun depression. And here we are, we've gone down the hill, we're engaging, taking quick little snapshots, back of the E100. Really, really good, stable platform for firing. I had a few tough games to start off in this tank in terms of accuracy, but it came good thereafter. And we'll take a nice little snapshot here on this E5 and get him away before he gets back in. That's what I like about it. It's good at firing on the move. And we'll get around the C50. Look how accurate that is. Straight into the track. He's going to repair that, or it's going to re-go. Straight into the track again. It's really, really solid at firing on the move. That's something I love about it. Makes it easier for an old bastard like me that has issues, excuse me, with the old fast twitch. When the 12-year-olds are out there flogging me in-game, it's always nice to be able to have something in your favour. Watch this. This is what I'm talking about, the gun repression. The T62A really struggles here for me. This lovely T44, I tell him I'm going to have a crack, and he immediately follows me. It's nothing better than going and finding someone who's competent to play with, just out in public. And so right there, look at that upper glacis. It becomes a very tough spot to pen to see. He can't get pens because of the angle we're at. And that so-called very weak
another one like that should
turret, it's just not visible, it's not available for him. It's around nicely. This is what we're talking about when we brawl. Angles happen. It's not just like looking at people on a flat page. And that extra slope on those front glacis really makes it a lot tougher. Very nippy tank too, like the T62A. It's not as quick off the mark as the 62, but it holds its speed to the toes really nicely, and it's obviously got a higher top speed than the T62A itself. You can see bouncing shells again from the C75 because we're angling it correctly, and that gun depression, we don't make it shot, you can see the lower glacis was off there for a bit. It's just a good tank. Reversing up as mediums go, very solid. And then you leave that there because you don't want to go through the whole game and really quite convincing me, obviously. I'd say that's just a bad shot there, it's in the front of the tank. So here we go, we're on our first game. Castilla. Believe this with Aegon, and I love this game because, look, I haven't had a huge amount of games. I've probably had 50 games in this tank, and I haven't had a great opportunity to record any incredible games, but I know the marketplace is clamouring and the demand is high for a tank review on the Object 140, so I thought I'd get this out here sooner rather than later. What I like about this game is it highlights the fine line between 6 degrees negative gun depression and 5 degrees negative gun depression. Now, I know from experience that I would not be able to get the shots in that I get in on this ISU 152 with the T62A without exposing more of myself. And you'll see the T54 up here takes a very nice little pot shot at me and hits my turret. And, you know, it's a strong turret, so it doesn't really worry me. And you can see we can just get down to that ISU 152, and we've popped adrenaline, and there's no problems with the DPM on this tank. We've popped adrenaline, and that extra degree of gun depression, the T54 blocks his mate, even allows us to back up, smash the ISU 152 very quickly, move back into cover. Bob's your mother's brother. Look at that. That's so why I like this tank. It's easier for me to play. And I guess that's a big factor when you're deciding on a tank like the Object 140 or the T62A. Now, this bears noting all these shots here with gun depression become available, and they may well have been shots you could get to in the T62A, but they'd all be borderline, and that's a big thing, because when you expose yourself forward here, obviously sideways, you get the gun depression that the 62A would have anyway. It could get down there, no worries at all. Sideways gun depression on the T62A is just fine, just like it is on the Object 140 or the E50M. I'm actually going to do a video about some of this stuff soon, because there's little bits and pieces that people miss out on, like gun depression over the side and the rear of tanks and things like that. Anyway, moving on. You can see low to the ground. We're now covered up quite a large deal of our weak spots by the rim on this bridge, which is great. Aegon is at the end of this thing, and that's why I've moved down here. I want to support him. He's going to plough the road. Go IS8, IS7. They're all around the cap circle. but we're getting really effective fire. It's a good tank. It's got good DPM. I mean, it's got like a crazy DPM, but DPM in Tier 10 is slightly overrated. From Tier 7 to Tier 10, the raise in DPM is not huge. The Comet has crazy DPM at Tier 7. It's got 2400 DPM at Tier 7. Guess what the T54 has at Tier 9? 2480 DPM. You get up to the 2.7 mark at Tier 10 in your tanks at DPM, but when you're saying low DPM, you're talking like 4% difference in DPM, which is a lot, but the hit point pools are huge at Tier 10 versus Tier 7 and Tier 8. So it's almost like once you get enough DPM to be competitive, you can move forward with life. And I'm just looking here at all those shots going in, baiting a shot out because I've got the hit points and angling my upper glacis. You can see how easily you can bounce a shot. I've got him on a reload. I'm going to go out, got the hit points, go straight back in. He won't even get a shot off. Very manoeuvrable. And you can see working in tandem there with Aegon, he's a good player. I blow my load here. I have a bit of bloodlust coming up, team. Bit of stupidity in the old house. Oh, the derp diaries. I should probably put this in the derp diaries. Let's rush the Tier 10 heavies at the cap and have fun by Bushka. Aegon saves us anyway. Saves us from being stupid. Well, not from being stupid, but he saves us from losing. But you can see there, we bounced a heap of stuff and we were able to get back and forward very quickly. It's more than nimble enough. Look, people say the soft stats aren't brilliant, and to a degree that's true. They're not brilliant, but they're not bad. They're good, and they're more than adequate for a Tier 10 medium. In fact, they're better than a lot of the Tier 10 mediums. They're not bad soft stats at all. Now, here we go. You can hear the rain still falling here. I'm actually recording this in a little tin-roofed area of the house. And the rain is hammering me. Won't shut up. We're going mines. We're pushing up the hill. We're not that fussed. They've only got the 2 mediums. We've got the 2 mediums, and they don't turn up and make a game of it. So we're happy enough with that. There is an issue with gun depression here. Again, I love the gun depression. It's not great, but look at it. It's hard to get down. You've got to expose yourself so you can see how important 1 degree of gun depression can be. I'm harping on, but this is what you're here for. Lighthouse has a sniper. I'm telling the world. I should have told just the team that. I accidentally hit the whole world thing. Good going me. Jagdpanzer 100's over there. We know that now. Gun depression. Hello, I'm talking to you. Straight into the side of that IS-7. I had to drive down a little bit. That such an underrated stat. That's one of the reasons I love the Comet. It's got negative 12 degrees of gun depression, the Comet. You can stay on that hill and shoot down like an elephant drinking water. It is absolutely brilliant. You can see they're angling that front plate all the time. It just is so much better than the T62As. Just a small percentage, but makes a huge difference. Very, very steep in terms of frontal plate. You know what? This is probably quite a bit like a T44, this tank. More even than a T54. I think it's more T44. Here we go. We're getting around the back, just trying to find shots. There we go, that E100. We donked that. Probably should have aimed just a touch lower there. This is a really tough map to win the hill and then not actually have a whole lot of clean looks is rare, but that's what's happened here. They're pushing around the right. So what I'm going to do is, using the tank's mobility, is drop down here and chase around to the right. I'm going to donk it a touch. I'm actually going to run into one of the tanks down here. I wasn't expecting that tank to be there. That slowed me right down. You see, Aegon is there. He's on the hill holding that line, and I'm terrified that he's going to get backdoored. I'm not relying on the rest of the team. You can't rely on them in the public. There is an E100 that is coming towards us there. Sorry, not... Is it an E100? Yeah, it's an E100. But that Indian needs to be taken out, so we do him first. Or T44 needs to be taken out. Jeez, I'm mixing up the metaphors here. Into the IS-8. T44, into the IS-8. Corner pocket, done. So we've now saved the world, and we can move over here and start pumping shells at everybody else. Aegon's been successfully saved. The IS-7 and the E100 are going to move down and have a crack at him, however, though. So I've got to be moving along smartly. And you can see it's a nippy enough tank. It gets around the spots. It's 0.36 dispersion, but you couldn't really tell. It's not a bad tank in terms of accuracy. And we are certainly putting lots of DPM into this good old E100. Lots of shells on offer. We're firing APCR. Not necessary to bring the heat out just yet. And we kill him. Moving up towards the IS-7. Aegon's done and dusted, but the IS-7, I'm not sure why that shot didn't go in. We switched to heat. We probably should have stuck with APCR. We would have been a lot better off, but we get one into the side of him. It's not a killing blow, however, but you can see the tank is very strong and gets us round behind him where we can donk another shot. What's going on there? Yeah, we pay for our sins, but we got it anyway. We've got a Jagdpanzer 100 and an Indian left. I'm just going to go back over the top of the hill and help out there. That Jagdpanzer, he's going to have to turn. We get one into his lower glacis. Bit of a lucky one that. It was a bounce shot. We pull back, hit the shot, and get the miss as well. You can't tell me this tank is inaccurate or anything like that. It can hit at range. It's a really good mobile gun platform. I'm surprised actually at how much fun it is to drive up close and brawly. You don't want to out-turn people because you're still so weak on the sides. But as you can see here, if you give it just a bit of space, it'll hit shots for you. And that's really important, obviously. You want to be hitting shots as often as possible because otherwise you won't be killing anyone and you'll be losing a lot of games. I started off horrifically in this thing. I think it was 3 and 11 or 5 and 18 or something. But then dragged it right back up. And I think it was just basically the fact that I had some really rough teams to kick off the day. You know how it is. That's how it is. Here we are. Winter Malinovka. Come on, comrade. What are we going to be doing here? Well, you look at the teams, and straight away you see there's 2 mediums and a tank destroyer. And we've got all heavies and 2 mediums. So I'm going to pick the sneaky mongrel bastard thing to do, which is flank up, and I know everyone hates this when you're in Winter Malinovka. Flank up in my medium. I'm going to flank shallow. I'm going to flank mid. Rather than going all the way around the bottom, because there's no point. If you get there late from the bottom, you're doing nothing. And if you run into anyone who they can stop you and stop you at range, and you've got to come up under fire, at least this way you can bust through the channel very quickly, come up shallow, and actually put effective fire into the back of these guys very fast. Now you'll note, trap for young players, do not drive straight up behind them. If I drive here all the way back to their respawn, I can still see them because they're being spotted by proximity to my teammates up the top, and they can't see me while I fire. If I was stupid enough to drive right up behind them and start firing, they would immediately be able to return fire. Now you can see this gun working overtime. We've kicked adrenaline off. We are tearing these guys to shreds. Absolutely no two ways about it. The Sense finally got his act together, and he is now there as well. Look at this. Fuck you, Med, says Maverick DH. I know, Maverick. Maverick, you're going to be sorry you said that, you bugger, because you're going to see this on YouTube, and you'll realise that you were wrong. The Meds were doing the business. We're finally spotted, and we just pumped straight up. Maverick's gone in the M103, but we were shredding the whole time. He's actually talking about the 7-1, not me, I don't think. There you go. You clarified that, Mav. You're all good. We are still getting effective fire. Another bounce. The turret and the upper glacis on this tank are excellent. And they're not super strong, but you've got to remember to always be angling them. And if you angle them, you make them a lot bouncy. You're not going to bounce everything. It's not about that. It's about getting it in a position where you maximize your opportunities. Now, we get an ammo rack here. We've hit his ammo rack once. All we're going to do is hit it again, and he will vanish in a cloud of dust. Boom! Thank you for coming, my friend. Yeah, nice tank, Bushka. There's Mav. He's my mate. He's off the Asian server forums. Good to see you, Mav. Well done, mate. Thank you for holding the line there while I got to act like a show parody at the back doing all the damage. You are a wonderful human. Onwards and upwards. We only have the one left, and I believe someone else will take him out. I don't get the opportunity to Finish him up. The IS-7 does that, and new monster is gone. So you can see, pretty bloody good tank. I like it a lot. I won't stop saying it. I think it's a fun tank. It's not a dominant tank. 5,200 damage there. An ammo rack always helps the cause in padding the stats. But for all that, I think we probably deserved it. We did the right thing on the map. The team did really well. It's nice to run into competent teams like Mav and the guys there holding the line for you. We're back on mines for this may well be our last map of the game. Back on mines. We're solo here. I don't even think we win this one. Wait and see. We're going to push the hill, as is our want. Now, I'm not running adrenaline at the moment. I've switched over to adrenaline in this tank. I'm just finding that adrenaline is helping me more, mainly because a lot of the time when I'm using this in mediums, speed boost, I'm getting there first, setting up, and then a tank will turn up with adrenaline and put me in a box. So it's much better, I'm finding, to run adrenaline these days. That said, there's an object 140, so it's the battle of the clones at the moment. You can see I'm angling as best I can, but there's not much you can do. We're both firing heat, I believe, at the present. He makes the mistake of going up a hill, which absolutely ruins his gun depression and his aim time. We've not missed a shot yet, which is lovely. We're still in this one. We get one from behind, which helps us out, and another one in. So you can see, very solid on the move. I love it. I think it's a great tank. We've now got a few little shots into this. This is what we're talking about at mines. I said earlier, it's surprising to get the hill and not get shots. Usually you get one or two guys that are pushing forward and they get trapped in the pincer. That's exactly what we've done here. Now, the E75 rolls up. He actually does fairly well. I think he nuts me this game, this E75. He rolls up. He's got me. He's sighted me, so he's going to go back behind the rock. Good job, him. And he stays there strong the whole game. And I think, yeah, we actually do lose this one. And the reason we do is a hell of a lot to do with that E75. He has a really strong game. We're turning around here looking for targets. Nothing is on offer. So, unfortunately, we've got to go searching. I'm trying to help out. There's an E100 down there. That E75 is there. I'm thinking if he stays behind that rock, and if he's not willing to give himself up, then I may be able to get free shots on the E100. I should have moved quicker and done this a touch faster, because I would have been able to save a little bit of the love downstairs, down the back of the map, that they cop from this big E100. The E75 wants to come out, but he would have to expose himself, and he's not been willing to do that so far, and he certainly isn't willing to do that now. You can see we're able to get to the E70, past the E100 pretty quickly. We donk one into the side of the turret there. It would have been nice to have that, but we don't get it. Whatever. Can't be helped. And we're onwards and upwards. Right now, things are looking good. 5-4. It all changes, obviously. The world is never changing place. This isn't the last game. What am I thinking? This is not the last game. Do not worry, team. This is not the last game. Into the E75. Cameo, the E75, does a very good job, and he's the reason they win this one, I reckon. He does a great job. That E100 did a good job too for them, stalling out down the bottom. Our ST1 and IS-7 come around here and don't really do a lot. I can't help myself in this tank. I've got to admit, this is like an intervention for Bushka. I get a little bit wild and wayward in this thing. I like brawling in it, and it's been the course. The reason we lose this game is because I'm a red-hot idiot. I can't help it. Look at me. Let's dogfight. There's an IS-7 and an E75 there, and I am running around like this is the last tank in the game, and I'm desperate for the kill. Oh, yeah, there's no legislating for stupid, and that's how we finished up. 4,139 from me. Here we back again on Castilla. Geez, we've started loving it. Now, you'll note, this little slope here turns your upper plate into an auto bounce zone. If anyone comes over there and starts firing across it, they just ping straight off the top. All we're doing here is scouting, guys. You're still a really good medium tank for scouting. You've got a low profile. As I mentioned in the intro, your camo is outstanding. You've got those things going for you, so a bit of scouting never hurt anybody. Don't expose yourself on the right, because they've obviously gone to the right hand side of the map. There's no one popping up on the left, or they've gone to the eastern side of the map rather than the western side of the map. And as such, you've got to be really careful not to expose yourself. Now, there's a T player down there, T, one of the clans on the Asia forums in a pattern. He's going to push down that respawn area. There he is. We're going to try and get shots on him. Again, gun depression is key. Look at that. With -6 degrees of gun depression, I'm struggling to get that shot. With -5 degrees of gun depression, there is no shot available. Gun depression's that important. It can be the difference between you having to move over an edge to expose yourself to get a shot, or actually being able to stay back. And you can see here, I am exposing myself now because I want to get a shot on this Tiger 2. There's no two ways around it. I'm using that rock there for cover, but there's an E100 there as well. There's a pattern in front of me. They're all having a crack. They all want a little piece of the action. But once you move back, you change things up. There's easy fire into the side of the pattern. And that gun depression just enough to get me down there. Wouldn't, if it was any less, boys and girls, we wouldn't have been getting those shots in. Well, and you can hear the thunder. The guys are playing football upstairs, team. So this Tiger 2, this is such an awkward match. I remember this. This is just the most awkward match. God, I put some funny things up for replay sometimes. This Tiger 2 and this E100, they're in a situation where you can see gun depression again. Couldn't get down there, but got there. I can't say it often enough. -1 degree of gun depression can be the difference between you hitting a shot and not even having a shot. Now the E100's moved forward. Big move, because I'm able to get shots into the back of him. I'm not trying to give this Tiger any action. You can see I've got a great profile. I can move forward and give him trouble. Just keep hitting him on the top of the hatch. You can hear my thumbs urgently thumping the fire button there. Not penning, but getting shots in the E100. Just trying to manage my life here. Still putting shots in that hatch on the Tiger 2. And he's not got good, effective shots on me because our upper glacis is so steep. We missed that shot altogether. It could be time to go down here and just sort these guys out. We may have to take a hit for the sake of the team on this one, because the team is slowly falling to bits. We were up and now we're down, and this E100 starting to turn his attentions back towards me. Yeah, very, very rough thing. The fuel tank's hit, so he might run out of petrol. I don't know why we even get the fuel tank hit, but there you go. Now things are interesting. 3-on-3. They've got 2 tier 10 heavies left, and this Tiger, who we're going to put pay to in a sec. That's that old bug where it just hugs the edge of a rock or something. Constantly putting shots in the hatch is nothing to laugh about. His tank's got some ability. He misses on the reload. We donk it, but we've got him on a reload for sure. He's got to aim right in the hatch again. So now it's an IS-7. Oh, this is where I have one of those moments where the adrenaline is rushing. The panic is setting in. I just want to be down there, circle strafing this idiot, and I've screwed it up. So what I'm going to do is be a touch sneaky here. Now, I'm going to go down as if I'm going into the river, turn around. I'll get there eventually, trust me. God, I am driving like I've had a skinful. Adrenaline, panic, it's all happening. I want to get this IS-7 coming, but he's not bad. He decides he won't come. He's not going to come. We've got 1:38 in the clock. We don't have the hit points to go rushing down there. He can two-shot us, take a big deep breath, and wait. Hold it, hold it, hold it. There's your camo. So, he knows he's been spotted. I'm just trying to get him to fire, but he's backed off. What will happen here is we'll have a stalemate. So what I'm going to do is pretend I'm driving off into the river and driving away. You'll note I wait. I'm letting camo reset, then I drive forward. And come back up. So he thinks that I've actually tried to run away. I haven't. All I'm doing is trying to get him to commit.
Hey mate, how you going?
If he commits, I just realised I'm in TeamSpeak at the moment and Aegon's just turned up.
I'm about to lose a map
This is
on the
great.
last tank as usual on a tier 10 game. No, I got him. Unbelievable. Fucking 1-1. Unbelievable. Tier 10 match, object 140, and I got the gold mastery, 4,192 damage. Had to kill a fucking IS-7 fucking solo at the end.
Swear a bit more, Bushka.
4,192.
Have it. Well, I forgot I was logged into the TeamSpeak there, and Aegon has turned up and just said something to me while I'm in the middle of a tense situation. Did you like the ammo rack on the IS-7 to win? It was only a little ammo rack. I was still a chance, but I was a bit depressed at that point in time. That's when I just started the object, and I kept losing games, and that's, I think, why the tension was there. I was driving like a bit of a nut. Just all really wanted to get a win up on the board. I don't know. We were talking about I'll clear this up. I hardly ever use TeamSpeak, so I don't think that I've got any way, shape, or form a mad TeamSpeaker, and that's how I get stats and things. Hardly ever use it, but just the last day or so, I used it to have a couple of plats with Aegon, and found it was really, really good, and obviously is a huge advantage. And if you ever get the opportunity to play in the same room as someone or use TeamSpeak, you absolutely should. It makes the game a breeze. You can go on big streaks using TeamSpeak. I think we went 22-4 using 2 IS-8s. So obviously something to watch out for. I'll hopefully use it some more in the future and not look like such a numpty. But back to the Object 140. I like the tank. I think it's better than the T62A for my purposes. I think the T62A, if you're a very, very good tank driver, is probably a better tank for you. But I find the Object 140 a touch more forgiving and a touch better for firing on the move, and also has a slightly better armor profile. I mean, that's even taking into account the fact that the turret in the T62A is nigh on impervious unless you're sitting still, and that's the issue I have. The turret on the 140 is nigh on impervious as well, unless you're sitting still. If you're sitting still, you're going to get penned in any tank in the turret. You can get hatch penned in a T110E3. You can get penned in an E100 if you sit still and you someone fires heat into your cheeks. I mean, it's a lay down misere. If you sit still in this game, you're an easier target. Don't sit still. You're not going to get penned. Keep moving your tank. Always angle it. You would have seen a lot of times in videos, I got bounces on my front glaciers because I was angling the tank towards probable lanes of fire. Like the lighthouse on mines or the top of the map on Winter Malinovka. Always have your tank slightly angled to that proposed line of fire, and you're far more likely to bounce an incoming shell. Your profile's good, your profile's low. The extra 1 degree of gun depression makes a big difference, in my opinion, on certain maps, and it's on those certain maps like the Hill on Mines, the top of the castle on Castilla. Some of those things are really important, especially with tanks like the Object 140 and the T62A, where you're doing a lot of hull down stuff. That extra 1 degree of gun depression is quite valuable. All in all, I would rate the tank as a very solid tier 10 medium, something that I'm happy I bought and something that I look forward to driving more in the future. I'm Bushka on Blitz. If you want to have a chat, you can always find me on the Asian game discussion section, in the English speaking section of that game portal, on Twitter at Bushka on Blitz. On the channel here, I answer a hell of a lot of comments, or just shoot me an email or a line or however you want to do it. Always happy to have a bit of giggle and a bit of a chat about tanks. I'll be on a podcast coming up soon with Left Turn from one of the clans on the North American server. So I'll post up more here on the channel about that when that happens. Should be a bit of fun and something to listen to if you're bored and don't have much of a life, which is probably me. I'd probably listen to it myself. Anyway, stay safe, humans, and I'll see you out on the battlefield.